Thank you very much, Kelly. And joining me now, Congressman John Yarmuth of Kentucky. And, sir, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it. I know you've got a lot going on. But it was about a week ago you were on with my colleague, Martin Bashir, and you said that you were growing more pessimistic about reaching a deal. That was before a lot of the back and forth that we've seen. How do you feel right now?
Well, I'm still pretty pessimistic about a deal. I'm a little bit more optimistic that we can at least avoid the tax part of the cliff. I get the sense that a growing number of Republicans are willing to let the Senate bill come to the floor here in the House, which would get almost every Democratic vote and a fair number of Republican votes. As long as Speaker Boehner doesn't require that there be a majority of his majority to pass that bill, I think we can get that done. And I have a sense that's kind of the way we're moving. Now, as to spending and some of the other matters, I think that's going to be something where the can's going to get kicked down the road into next year.
So that seems to be the common theme today. I've watched many of your colleagues on our air and read their comments in different newspapers. It seems that that's where we are right now. Get this issue of the tax cuts complete so that the American people will have at least some comfort. And then, as you pointed out, kick the can down the road. I've heard people say this is Groundhog Day. This is the same thing over and over again. It seems that this seems to be just a repeat performance.
Well, I think to a certain extent that's true, although this will be happening at the beginning of a session, and we're going to have about 85 or 86 new members here, a few more Democrats, and hopefully a refreshed membership that will actually look to do this. Now, you talked about the schedule, and actually next year's schedule is pretty disturbing if you really consider it. It's 129 total days, but actually only 60 full business days in session the entire year. So we aren't going to have a whole lot of time next year either to deal with these very, very pressing matters. But I think in terms of spending, I think there's a realization that the cuts that were projected in the across-the-board cuts, the so-called sequester, which is the other part of the cliff, are something that would devastate the economy, send us back into recession. There are a lot of people who want to see cuts, but not to the magnitude as prescribed there.
You were on again, as I pointed out last week on MSNBC, and you said the Republicans were trying to muddy the waters by including entitlement reform and other issues, including debt ceiling talks as well here. But it doesn't matter how many days you have on the calendar or the significant and ideological differences here, coupled with the pressure that Speaker Boehner is under. I mean, you can find multiple articles right now where conservatives are questioning him even putting tax revenue on the table. And certainly a couple of Republicans were on our air referring to the debt ceiling and the president's request, saying that he is not the emperor and they would not give him the ability to put the country into as much debt as the Democrats want them to. That was Tom Coburn. Tom Cole was on as well saying a similar thing.
Well, yeah, I know it's kind of interesting that we went through a campaign just now where Republicans were harping on the fact that we supposedly cut $716 billion out of Medicare, and now they want to make cuts to Medicare and other entitlements part of the equation for getting anything agreed to. We do need to reform our social insurance system, particularly in Medicare. We actually need that in the Affordable Care Act, and people are forgetting the significant changes that we made in Medicare in that law, and we ought to be content to let some of those actually play themselves out before we start messing around with something that's so important to 50 million Americans.
And I believe you pointed out in the past the cuts that were made with Medicare are the same cuts that the president was attacked for during the election.
Exactly. These were savings, about a third of which were reducing the subsidy for insurance companies who provide Medicare Advantage programs, and the rest of them were pretty much cut to providers. But we didn't reduce any services. That was the important thing. In fact, we actually expanded some benefits for beneficiaries while saving money over the long term. And CBO said that the Affordable Care Act will save over the next 20 years $1.2 trillion. So again, we need to be careful what we do with the Medicare portion of that social safety net, because we've actually made some significant changes that have yet to play out.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. We greatly appreciate your time.